Okay, well, we're going to call the meeting to order. Mr. Coley, if you would note that all the commissioners are present.
So noted.
The meeting minutes of March 15 have been distributed. Does anybody have any changes to those minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have Resolution 1375 to consider today, and that is the resolution requesting the Treasurer of the State of Tennessee to return to the Knoxville Utilities Board the unclaimed balance of accounts remitted to the State Treasurer under the Uniform Unclaimed Property Act. Samantha?
You said it much better than I could, so I'll just recognize Chris Hood to give you the details.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Roach. Good morning, Commissioners. Today I've got a brief presentation for you on unclaimed property, followed by the introduction of Resolution 1375. In its most simplistic form, unclaimed property represents for KUB money left on account by customers and vendors in which KUB cannot locate the customers and vendors to return the property within the state statutory limits. For customer-related payments, there's a 1-year due diligence period. For vendor payments, there's a longer period of 3 years. As you see on the slide before you, there's really 4 items that represent unclaimed property for KUB. The first 2 are customer-generated. That is when a customer leaves either a deposit or an overpayment on an account, terminates service. In that instance, KUB attempts to mail a check to that customer. One of 2 things happens. Either that check comes back to KUB due to not being able to be delivered by the post office, or the check remains outstanding. It's never cashed. In both these instances, we've got that 1-year due diligence period. The third item is a little bit different. This is an advance for construction. If a developer's got a project that requires infrastructure, they ask KUB for that infrastructure. We ask them to pay for that up front. We give them a multi-year refund agreement. Over the term of that refund agreement, based on the build-out, the value of the customers, we return funds to that developer. Since it's a multi-year contract, sometimes in the later years of those contracts, we cannot locate that developer. So each of these are the 1-year due diligence period. The last one, while very uncommon, is a means by which we can have unclaimed property, and that's a vendor payment. KUB uses contractors for all types of services. Contractor performs work, invoices KUB. We pay those invoices within a 30-day period. With that process, it's very rare. Matter of fact, this request today does not have any vendor payments included. So once we complete our due diligence on these items, we must reply with the annual remittance to the state by May 1st each year. With that, we submit any funds that we have collected. We cancel any outstanding checks, and we provide information to the state so that they may begin their due diligence process. Before doing so, we've got to make one last round to a U.S. postal mailing, first class, to attempt to find any of the rightful owners of these funds. With that due diligence process completed, the state then takes over. The state's got certain items by state statute that they must do. They must publicly notice that these funds are out there, that you're going to do that through a local paper. They also use the information we provided. They use information from state tax records, DMV, Social Security numbers, EINs, etc., and attempt to locate the rightful owners of these funds. The state concludes their process after 18 months. At that point in time, KUB, by state law, has got the ability to request any funds that are still remaining outstanding back. We do so through board resolution. We are liable for any future claims on those funds. So if someone comes back 4 or 5 years later, we've still got to process any valid claims. This brings us to the resolution that's before you today. Resolution 1375 is a request to the state of Tennessee for periods 2012 through 2015 for funds originally remitted in the amount of $132,147, less any administrative fees that might be incurred by the state.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
One question. So once we get that 132, 147 back, and once we pass this resolution, where does that money go? Does it go back into our general fund? Do we use it for maybe some of our Rounded Up or some of our other need-based
No, it was in
programs?
general fund.
General fund?
And Chris, remind me, if someone appeared sometime later, they could still get this money back?
Yes,
So
we
it's-
have to remain liable. And really, that was the amount that was remitted by us originally. Historically, we've gotten about 80% of that back. So really, ironically, the state doesn't have a lot more luck finding these people once they are absent than we do.
But should they reappear 5 years from now and they can justify it, we will pay it back?
Chris, is the administrative fee, the state administrative fee, is it like 3 or 5%, something like that, or is it more than that?
It's based on the funds remitted. I think the fees are pretty minimal, but they do have the fee that they incur for any of their searches, and really, I guess the majority of their fees are for newspaper posting.
Right.
Do we, it's kind of like the opposite of bad debt. Do we account for it? Do we guess it might be 20% claim and put that into our budget, or is it just such a small
Yeah,
amount?
it's usually pretty small. We do this request usually about 4 to 5 years in order to allow this balance to build up. Of all the refund checks that we issue, this is about 1% of all refunds that we issue back to customers, so it's pretty small. Some of the years, there was like $6,000 one year, so it can be
Okay.
pretty negligible.
Good.
Chris, if someone, pays a deposit, moves out of state, we can't find them, eventually moves back and sets up service again, do we keep information in their, customer account history that if they sign back up, would there be a flag that would come up and say, oh, you've already paid the deposit, or there's a credit here that, or is it incumbent upon the ratepayer to say, oh, I never got my deposit from 5 years ago?
Yeah, if they want to make a claim, they've got to make a claim on the account.
Okay, so we don't.
It would not be automatic.
If there are no other questions, do I have a motion and second for Resolution 1375 on first and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anyone from the public here that wants to address us on this motion or on this resolution? If not, Mr. Coley, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Askew,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbert,
Aye.
Commissioner Pennell,
Aye.
Commissioner Simpson-Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Small,
Aye.
Commissioner Worden.
Aye.
Resolution 1375 has passed.
Mentha, would you give us the presence report?
Yeah, we have a very brief presence report. I recognize Mike Boland. The TVA board meeting is supposed to take action on rates in May. We don't know a lot to tell you, but we did want to give you a heads up about that action.
Very brief is the understatement, actually just one slide. But we want to introduce the concept that TVA is anticipated to take board action before our next board meeting, at which time TVA is likely to pass a rate change. A rate change for TVA is not a rate increase, it's a reallocation, a restructuring of their wholesale rates, which then has an impact on us. The rate change that's being contemplated will be effective October 2018. This is coming October. There's a lot of pieces to the proposed rate change. The most controversial one that you may have read about is their proposed grid access charge, or it's called GAC for short. That's a charge that hasn't historically been in existence on our wholesale bill that TVA is now looking to implement. There's a provision that's being proposed that the distributors like ourselves would have an opportunity to elect to defer the implementation of that GAC on our wholesale bill until October 2019. All the changes collectively will require us to sign an amendment to our TVA power contract. So there'll be further discussion and potentially board action related to all this. Want to give you a heads up about it. In our May board meeting, after TVA actually acts and passes this and we know more details, we'll have a presentation to this board about the ramifications and the details of TVA's actions. So that's my quick heads up about the coming TVA rate action.
Thank you, Mike. Mentha, do you have anything further?
That is all the business we have for today in the business meeting.
Any other business or comments from commissioners? Are there any members of the public that would like to address us at this time? The meeting is now adjourned, and we're going to begin with our budget workshop.